my first real experiences of travel with a visual impairment, or travel full stop really, considering I was 19 when I lost my sight, were through taking part in goalball and going on VICTA trips and things like that. I remember getting the train from Cambridge to Sheffield once by myself, and I didn't know anything about assistance. I remember trawling through phone numbers for ages to try and find the travel assistance number. I had to change once on the journey, but the assistants met me at Cambridge, met me at the change, and then didn't meet me at Sheffield. So I learned about things. Well, at that point, you're just thinking, well, I just got to sink or swim here, and sort of, I guess, tactics and different instincts kick in at that point, where you just think, well, the majority of people getting off this train are going to have head to the exit. So you do a little bit of, you'd be a bit of a sheep in that situation. You follow the crowd, and you sort of follow them out the station, and you eventually come to the barriers where usually there's a member of staff, especially at a place like Sheffield. So that's how I resolved that situation.
But at that stage, sorry, at that stage, were you using your cane at that stage? So even though there wasn't someone meeting you off the train, there wasn't anyone, a member of the public, sort of noticing perhaps that you weren't quite sure where the exit was and offering support or anything like that?
Yeah, I had my cane at that stage. So yeah, I waited off the train. I got myself off the train and waited at the platform. And I think by this point the crowd had sort of gone off. And maybe I said, oh, I'm just waiting for the assistance. But maybe I realised after a few minutes, the assistance isn't going to be turning up. Yeah. So the crowd went that way. Let's follow the crowd. And yeah, at that point you can find strangers, ask strangers for help. Hey, I'm just trying to find this sort of thing. And yeah, those sorts of tactics kick in at that point, I guess. And yeah, that was that was an interesting experience, that one. And yeah, I remember it felt like it wasn't the first time I'd got on a plane, but but my first time in living memory, because I think the first time I was like 2. But yeah, the first time I remember getting on the plane, I was doing that visually impaired as well. And I remember I was with a group of visually impaired. I think I was going out to a goalball training camp actually in Germany, and I was sat next to this guy, and I was like, oh damn, I was meant to get some sweets because I'm told that your ears pop when you take off and all that sort of stuff. So he was like, oh yeah. Here you go, here's one. I put one in and was like, oh that was pretty painless, that takeoff. And he was like, we've not taken off yet, we're still taxiing on the runway. And I was I do this 2 or 3 times before he's like, I will give you the sweet just before we're about to take off. Put it in your mouth when I tell you to. And yeah, that's how little I knew, I guess. And so when I started doing stuff with VICTA, yeah, that would have only been like my 2nd or 3rd time getting on a plane and as an adult in living memory, really. And I think that was when I went to Sicily with VICTA back in September 2014, and that was incredible. I met some brilliant people through that trip, and yeah, again, just so many, just you pick up so much, you learn so much from these sorts of experiences. With VICTA, as well as the Sicily one, I'll just list a few as like Barcelona, Iceland, Krakow, Berlin, as you mentioned. There's a trip in the UK to Snowdonia as well, to go up Mount Snowdon. So many amazing things done through VICTA that you wouldn't imagine doing. And those experiences of international travel were so important in terms of giving us, or certainly giving myself, the helping hand, a bit of a step up to get the confidence to do it myself, really. And introduce us to, right, here's airports, here's the environment on a plane and all those sorts of things. And since doing a lot of those trips that I listed, I've done a bit of international travel ourselves. Obviously, it all feels a bit fanciful talking about it at the moment. But yeah, there was when was it, about 3 years ago or something? My girlfriend was living out in Liège in Belgium, and I took the Eurostar out there a few times. and went to see her in Liège. We went on to Amsterdam, had a long weekend in Amsterdam when she was living in Liège, and had another long weekend in Paris. And when we were having these long weekends, just navigating those cities, you sort of learn different tactics and different ways about it. So one thing that we found that was really useful was they're a bit corny, maybe a little bit naff, but the hop on, hop off tour buses give you a feel for what's about in the city, you know, the sort of scale and size and, you know, rough idea of where places are in relation to each other. So you don't end up being like, right, you don't end up planning your day like, oh, we'll do that and that today, but they're opposite ends of the city, for instance. We found those to be really useful things to do. You know, just mainstream things as well, like TripAdvisor, booking walking tours of places. You can then look at reviews. You can look at a description of what a tour might be like as well, so you can sort of try and gauge how accessible you think it might be. So walking tours tend to be pretty immersive. You know, food and drink tours, all of those sorts of things, you know, tend to be pretty immersive, and, you know, they're not totally reliant on what you can see. If you go to, you know, if there's a tour taking you up the tallest building in a city and you can look at the big view, might not do that one. Yeah, I might give that one a miss. But yeah, that we've also done gone beyond Europe as well. So we've gone on trips to we went to the 2016 Paralympics in Rio with a couple of friends that we met through VICTA/Goalball, and yeah, that was an experience for sure. And we found out there that using Uber was a reliable way of traveling around. Locals advised us that they were the safest, you know, form of transport when we were out in Rio. And
what an experience that must have been, by the way, traveling around Rio.
Ah, it's incredible. Absolutely. You know, being on the beach, and it was a strange experience being on the beach in Rio. We were on Copacabana at one point, and there were these people there who were selling, like, you know, had like a little drink stand and sold some sunbeds. So we chilled out there a little bit, but it's fantastic. You've got like a market around you, but rather than having to walk around the market walks around you. So you're like, oh, do you fancy a little bit of cheese? Like, yeah, I have some cheese. Why not? Yeah. What about these football shirts? Do you want a football? I've got some flags as well, and all this sort of stuff. Like, and I don't know. The guys behind us were sort of, I don't know. I don't know if I'm misremembering things here, but, you know, there seem to be some locals who, you know, seem to suggest like, oh, yeah, you got to watch what you buy out here. Like, some people are not so good, and I seem to remember the people who sold us the chairs and stuff were like, yeah, maybe not off them. Yeah, you don't want to get that sort of thing, but, you know, quite subtle. And it was a hell of an experience, that's for sure. And you know, we managed to do a lot of those touristy sightseeing things. And I'd said earlier that, you know, you don't want to go up the tallest buildings, look at the view and all that sort of thing, but we did go up Sugarloaf Mountain, and yeah, just being, although you know, we couldn't see anything off the side of it in terms of the scale of the city, but, you know, just being up there and, you know, the feel of the air and all that sort of stuff. And I guess, I don't know, I'm a bit of a Bond nut, so I was thinking about the Bond film as well. I'm thinking, oh, this is where George was like chasing James Bond on the cable cars and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I guess while I'm waffling about the further afield, like longer haul international travel, a point I wanted to make about the Seattle trip was that the American grid system makes getting around in America like incredibly straightforward. You just need to count the streets you're going along, and yeah, it works. It works a treat. You know, where they might lack in heritage and hundreds of years full of lovely medieval little rabbit warren like streets and all these labyrinthine sort of little passageways and all this sort of stuff, like they make up for it in wonderful you know, uniform grid-like structure. It might not look very nice, but in that sense, the blind paradise, it looks probably terrible, not very nice to look at, but oh man, it works really easily.
That's the new tourist board slogan for New York: blind paradise.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, we have used other groups off the back of VICTA again, actually, as well. Like we used Seable back in the summer of 2019. With a group of friends, we went around Cambodia and Vietnam using Seable. So Seable is like an international travel company, really, that sort of creates bespoke holidays for blind and mainly blind and partially sighted people, but you could be like a mixture of sighted friends and family and all this sort of thing. It just happened that our group was formed through a VICTA trip, which I think that VICTA did alongside Seable. I think Iceland, Thailand, that sort of thing. And yeah, we sort of stayed in touch, and Seable were doing this trip out to Cambodia and Vietnam and invited us along to it. And so that was an incredible experience as well. And I guess whereas doing it all independently around Rio and Seattle was fantastic, and it's cool to say you've done that, whereas with doing it with Seable, it's much, you have to think, you just don't have to think so much. They've got it all sorted, and you obviously pay a bit more for that, but it's that trade-off, isn't it? It's that trade-off you sort of have to weigh up when you're doing these sorts of things.